Yeah, I think I've found a new movie to watch every single December. Violent Night is a brand new 2022 action film directed by Tommy Wirkola, starring David Harbour and John Leguizamo. And when I first heard about this movie, I thought that it was gonna be a horror movie with Santa as the villain because that's kind of what the poster gave me. But then I saw the trailer, and I'm like, oh, it's a Die Hard action movie with uh, Santa Claus replacing Bruce Willis, and it's from the same writers as the two Sonic the Hedgehog films. And David Leitch is producing, and he gave us Bullet Train, Nobody, all three John Wick films. So yeah, I was very excited to see this because the trailer looked badass. So I went and saw it. I've actually seen it twice now, because I just haven't had time to review all last week. I've just been very busy, and I also had the flu. So here I am today reviewing Violet Night. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with the good. And there's a lot that I really love in this movie. First of all, David Harbour as Santa Claus in this movie, absolutely terrific. Nobody is having more fun in this movie than he is, and he's just absolutely amazing in this movie. He's badass. I know that David Harbour hasn't exactly had the best luck with getting his own franchise. Hellboy was supposed to start a franchise that bombed. He is going to be in future MCU movies, but Black Widow wasn't exactly the MCU's finest hour. And also, he was in the 2016 Suicide Squad, and the less we say about that, the better. But I feel like this could be David Harbour's big franchise because just the way he plays this character. He's badass, he's brutal, but he's also got a caring edge to him, which Santa is supposed to have. And he even brought a bit of a human depth to the character of Santa Claus because he's a Santa Claus who's been doing this for over 1,000 years, and he's starting to lose his love for the job. And he's just brought into this whole situation where he has to save this family from this group of mercenaries led by John Leguizamo, who we'll talk about in a minute. Um, and it's just insane the way everything plays out. I just really love David Harbour as Santa in this movie. I really hope we do get sequels or maybe even a prequel because there's some potential for a prequel in this movie as well. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Moving on from him, you also have this little girl in the mix who is pretty much the only likable good guy aside from Santa in this movie, but we'll get to that in a bit. But she's absolutely terrific. We've had some really great child performances this year, and this girl is no exception. She did amazing, and the conversations between her and Santa Claus are really at the heart of this movie. They really feel like the conversations between John McClane and Sergeant Powell in Die Hard, and I think that that works really well in this movie. I love their chemistry together over the radio and when they finally meet in the third act. And then you have John Leguizamo as the main villain in this movie, and like I said in my review for the menu, I just love it when John Leguizamo shows up in a movie. I think he does terrific in everything. I love him as an actor. He's a terrific actor, and he's having a lot of fun as the villain in this movie, and I gotta give him props for that. He's not Hans Gruber levels of great, but he's still a lot of fun, and he'll probably go down as one of my all-time favorite Christmas movie villains because of how fun John Leguizamo's performance in this movie was. And he's not just your typical bad guy who sits in a chair yelling at people. He actually gets in on the action. He has a really badass final fight with Santa Claus near the end of the movie. It's really, really fun. And also, the rest of the villains in this movie, at least the ones that are highlighted, they are also really memorable as well. Three in particular, they are very fun. They've got fun personalities. Much like the terrorists in Die Hard, a lot of them have distinctive personalities that make them fun and interesting to watch, so this movie had that as well. And aside from all the characters, the action is amazing, the soundtrack terrific, the score also really great, and the kills in this movie, I have already stated, Santa is a badass in this movie, and the kills are definitely very badass in this film. I really love the kills, the action is terrific, which I expected nothing less from David Leitch producing because, again, he did all three John Wick movies, Nobody, Bullet Train, and both the Deadpool movies, and they all had terrific action pieces. So, yeah, action in this movie is absolutely terrific. I also really love how a lot of the action is set to Christmas music. It just makes it funnier, in my opinion. And the humor, also really terrific. There's some humor in this movie that usually doesn't work for me, but I don't know, just in the tone of this movie, it just works for some reason where it wouldn't work in something else, but it just works for me here. But that's all for the good. Let's go on to the bad. And there's one very, very big flaw I have in this movie. Other than Santa Claus and the little girl, none of the other main characters are good. I did not like any of this girl's family. I thought they were all a bunch of unlikable jackasses. And maybe it could have been better had they learned to be better by the end of the movie. But none of them really do. They just switch in the last 10 seconds. So, yeah, I really did not like any of those characters. Maybe her mom and dad were better than the rest, but the rest are just so super unlikable. And that's about all for the bad. On to the final thoughts. I really, really loved Violent Night. Like I said, I'm going to be watching this every December from now on. I love this movie. It's a lot of fun. David Harbour is terrific. Violent Night is probably the second most fun movie I've seen all year, along with Bullet Train, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Violent Night. Have you seen this movie yet? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it if you have. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.